Sydney, Australia, a city known for its breathtaking landscapes, vibrant culture, and thriving academic institutions. But on October 25, 2023, the city was shaken by a crime so brutal that it left the nation in shock. Lilie James, a 21-year-old water polo coach and university student, was found murdered inside St. Andrew's Cathedral School. The man responsible? Paul Thijssen, her former lover and colleague. What drove this young man, once a promising athlete and admired coach, to commit such a heinous act? This is the story of Lilie James, a young woman full of life, hope, and ambition, and how her promising future was stolen in the most brutal way imaginable. Lilie James was born in May 2002 in New South Wales, Australia. She was the daughter of Jamie and Peter James, and from a young age, she was known for her kind-hearted nature, her love for sports, and her radiant personality. Growing up in Sanssouci, she developed a deep passion for water polo, excelling in the sport throughout her teenage years. By 2020, she had graduated from Danebank Anglican School for Girls and was pursuing a degree in sports business at the University of Technology, Sydney. Alongside her studies, she took on a coaching role at St. Andrew's Cathedral School, guiding young athletes and helping shape future champions. Her colleagues and students adored her, describing her as dedicated, compassionate, and full of energy. Lilie had everything going for her: a bright future, a promising career, and a loving family. But one relationship would change everything. Paul Thijssen was a 24-year-old Dutch-Australian sports coach. He had once been a student at St. Andrew's Cathedral School, where he excelled in sports, particularly hockey and cricket. His leadership skills earned him respect, and after finishing his studies in the Netherlands, he returned to Sydney in 2020 to work as a sports coach at his former school. On the surface, Thijssen seemed like the perfect coach: disciplined, talented, and well-respected among students and staff. But behind closed doors, he was struggling. He was known to be intense in relationships, often displaying obsessive behavior when things didn't go his way. When he and Lilie started dating, friends noted that he was deeply invested in the relationship, perhaps too much. Initially, Lilie was charmed by Paul's attention and devotion. He was kind, always eager to please, and constantly showered her with compliments and gifts. But as time passed, cracks in their relationship began to show. Paul's love wasn't just admiration, it was possession. He wanted to know where she was at all times, demanded her constant attention, and grew irritated when she spent time with friends without him. Lilie, a free-spirited and ambitious young woman, started feeling suffocated. She had dreams, a bright future ahead, and wasn't ready to be tied down in such an intense and controlling relationship. She tried to communicate her concerns, hoping that Paul would understand, but instead, he grew more anxious, more desperate to keep her in his life. He would bombard her with messages, show up unannounced, and insist that they were meant to be together. Eventually, Lilie had enough. Just days before October 25th, she ended the relationship. Reports suggest that she told friends she needed space, that Paul's attachment had become unhealthy. She wanted to move forward, focus on her career and personal growth. While she believed she was simply moving on, Paul had other plans. His obsession turned into devastation, and his heartbreak transformed into rage. He couldn't accept that Lilie was slipping away from him. He couldn't bear to see her live a life without him in it. And so, he made a decision that would change everything. On the night of October 25th, CCTV footage captured Lilie entering the school's gymnasium toilets at around 7 p.m. Paul followed shortly after, his demeanor tense and unreadable. He had been waiting for this moment, knowing that it would be his last chance to confront her. Witnesses later reported seeing Paul pacing outside the gym earlier that evening, as though he was psyching himself up for something. Inside the gym's bathroom, what transpired next was nothing short of a nightmare. An argument erupted between Lilie and Paul, her voice rising in frustration, his filled with desperation. Paul, unable to control his emotions, snapped. Overcome with rage, he struck her repeatedly with a hammer, the force of the blows leaving her defenseless. The brutality of the attack was incomprehensible. He continued long after she had fallen, ensuring that there was no chance of survival. Blood splattered the walls and pooled on the tiled floor, the once serene space now a crime scene of unimaginable horror. An hour later, Paul was seen leaving, alone. Lilie never came out. The school, quiet and empty at this late hour, bore no witnesses to what had just occurred. Paul walked away, composed on the outside, but inside, his mind raced. He had done the unthinkable, and now he needed to cover his tracks. Hours later, in the dead of night, Paul drove to Diamond Bay Reserve, a notorious cliffside known for suicides. He parked his car, his mind likely spinning with the weight of his actions. He discarded the blood-stained hammer in a nearby bin, as if getting rid of the weapon would erase the horror of what he had just done. Then, he vanished into the darkness. At around 10 p.m., Paul made a chilling call to the police, his voice eerily calm. He told them that a body could be found at St. Andrew's Cathedral School. The way he reported it, detached, almost robotic, left officers unsettled. It wasn't a call of remorse. It wasn't a call of regret. It was simply a statement of fact, as if he was merely delivering news rather than confessing to a crime that would haunt a community forever. Just before midnight, officers arrived at St. Andrew's Cathedral School. What they found inside the gym's toilets would haunt them forever. Lilie's body was unrecognizable due to the sheer level of violence inflicted upon her. She had suffered multiple blows to the head, her injuries so severe that investigators could barely identify her at first. Blood coated the walls and floors, the sheer brutality of the attack leaving even seasoned officers stunned. It was as if the very walls bore witness to the unfathomable rage that had unfolded within that confined space. Forensic experts confirmed that the weapon used was a hammer, the same one Paul had discarded at Diamond Bay Reserve. The amount of force used suggested sheer, uncontrollable fury, an act of violence that went far beyond mere impulse. The crime scene was so disturbing that even the most hardened officers struggled to contain their emotions. Some stood in silence, shaking their heads, while others had to step outside to regain composure. One detective later admitted, "I've seen a lot in my career, but this was something else." It was clear. This was not a crime of passion. It was a crime fueled by rage, obsession, and an unrelenting need for control. A young life, full of promise, had been mercilessly extinguished, and the echoes of her final moments would linger forever in that gymnasium. With Lilie's body discovered, the next step was to find her killer.
The story of Lilie James. A daughter, a friend, a children's sports teacher. Sydney is reeling tonight after a young woman was killed inside one of the city's most prestigious schools. 21-year-old Lilie, a water polo coach at St Andrew's Cathedral School in the CBD, suffered severe head injuries. As we go to air, police are now searching for one of her colleagues in relation to her murder.
Paul was the prime suspect, and his last known location was Diamond Bay Reserve. Given its reputation for suicides, authorities feared that he had taken his own life. By the morning of October 26th, police launched an extensive search operation deploying helicopters, marine units, and rescue teams. Around 1 a.m., they found a backpack containing Paul's personal belongings near the cliffside, his wallet, phone, and some clothes. It was as if he had left them behind as a final message, a haunting farewell to the world that had rejected him. For over 24 hours, search teams scoured the cliffs and waters below. Every passing hour intensified the mystery. Had he jumped, or was he still out there hiding? Then, on October 27th, construction workers at a nearby site spotted a body wedged between the rocks below Diamond Bay. The body was battered by the tide, its position suggesting a long fall from the cliffs above. Rescue teams carefully retrieved the remains, their faces solemn as they worked. It wasn't long before forensic experts confirmed what many had already suspected: Paul Thijssen was dead. His final act was one of cowardice, denying Lilie's family the justice of seeing him stand trial. As the case unfolded, more details emerged about Paul's disturbing behavior. Reports surfaced that he had been following Lilie, tracking her movements and struggling to accept the breakup. Some even speculated that the attack had been premeditated.
And calculated, that is how the murder of 21-year-old Lilie James is being described, with detectives essentially confirming to the Daily Telegraph this morning that her killing was in fact premeditated.
As he had rented a car and purchased the hammer just hours before the murder. Meanwhile, the community mourned. St. Andrew's Cathedral School shut down for days, bringing in grief counselors to help students and staff cope. Vigils were held, candles lit, and tributes poured in from all corners of Australia. Lilie's family was left shattered. In the wake of her death, They established the Lilie James Foundation, aimed at supporting victims of domestic violence and advocating for stronger safety measures in workplaces and educational institutions. Lilie James was a bright light in the lives of those who knew her. She had dreams, ambitions, and a heart full of kindness. But her life was stolen by a man who couldn't handle rejection, a man who allowed his obsession to turn into violence. Her story serves as a tragic reminder of the dangers of unchecked possessiveness and the devastating consequences of domestic violence. While justice in the form of a trial was denied, her legacy will live on through those who loved her and through the change her story inspires. May Lilie James rest in peace. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please seek help. There are organizations and helplines ready to support you. No one should suffer in silence. Thank you for watching. Stay safe and see you in the next video.